Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Movie Mates review on the channel. I am Matthew, of course, joined by my wonderful co-host and best friend.
Callum.
Hey man, great to see you. So on today's show, we're delving back into a genre that we have sort of dipped our toe in the water um, to previously with Space Sweepers, and it's the foreign films, foreign language films. And today we've got a really good one. We're a bit sort of late to the late to the trend with this one because literally just before we started the podcast or the video, Callum told me this had released like 7 months ago in America. But we finally got the chance to see another round, the Danish film featuring Mads Mikkelsen. So I'll pass over to Callum to explain why we're reviewing this film, what's it about, and the gist of our discussion. So yeah, take it away, mate.
Yeah, it only came out about 2 weeks ago here, so we do have a solid excuse. We didn't want to illegally view this film as though we would ever
Of
do
course,
that. Because that
never
that would
done
just
that.
I think steal from the authenticity of what I consider quite artful with this film. This film won Best Foreign Language Picture at the Oscars. Uh, you know, it's a category I don't quite understand. Because I don't understand what qualifies for Best Picture because Parasite won both in 2020. So I don't really understand the distinction of the qualification. Obviously, to be in that category, you have to be a foreign language picture, but then you can also be a foreign language picture and be in Best Picture, which again, fair enough. But it just seems that if that was always the case, then more should be nominated.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the Academy is like really good at not making things clear. So they are with their awards. And there's a lot of things we could say about this film in terms of really great performances that should have been nominated for acting performances that weren't. I'm not sure whether that is because it's a foreign film and that is its category and that's it. But like you said, Parasite won Best Picture that year, so obviously they're not restricted to that category in terms of other awards. So it is a bizarre sort of rule or sort of decision by the Academy there. But nonetheless, I mean, yeah, I think this is our second foreign film that we've reviewed. Space Troopers. Can you think of any other ones, mate?
I don't think I can. We are sort of narrow in that scope, but we'll talk about it later with this review in itself. But there's just lack of marketing, lack of interests, and Northern Ireland is sort of like this black hole of entertainment where we're kind of just where
Yeah.
everything sort of circumvents us. We don't really get much here. The only cinema that shows sort of art house films that aren't huge Oscar winners is the Queen's Film Theatre where we saw this film. It is just bizarre to me that foreign films or international films are considered a genre in itself when that's 90% of cinema. You're boxing 90% of cinema into foreign films. It's like it is just bizarre. And with the Oscars situation, I mean, I feel like you should just have Best Picture and then just have double the nominees. I don't understand boxing them in like that because you're nominating 8 American and British films in Best Picture, and then you're nominating 6 for the rest of the world. I guess just do 14 and then do whatever ratio of the two you want to. But then that just sort of removes, I think, any error in one movie sort of sweeping the entire awards.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the less nominees in that category, the more prestigious it looks to the Academy, which is utterly ridiculous. Like that, I think if a movie is good enough for to be in the conversation for that kind of title, then just put it in, no matter where it's from, how long it is, who's in it. Do you know what I mean? Like a good movie is a good movie at the end of the day, no matter if it's in America or in Denmark like this one. So yeah, I really want to see to be fair to the Academy, they are becoming more and more diverse, but like I still think it's gonna have that like connotation of being sort of really rich white people making the decisions. Do you know what I mean? Like you really you know what I mean? But hopefully it'll change. It'll change, become more diverse, which thankfully I think it is. But still not
Mhm.
there yet for me. Um I mean, yeah, just before we kick off this review, thank you to everyone who supported us, our recent videos. We really do appreciate that massively. And please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on Another Round, or I think it's called Druk or Drunk in Danish. I think we'll just refer to it as Another Round because that's the English title. But yeah, and as I say, our 100th episode of the podcast is coming up too. So be sure to leave any questions or anything like that down in the video for us to talk about there. So yeah, I mean, if you want to open the floor with your thoughts on the film, and I'll chip in where I can.
Well, I'll just quickly outline the plot. It's based on the idea, that some philosopher, forgive me, I don't remember their name. I'm not performing at a good level here. In the UK right now, it is boiling
It's
hot, and I
boiling,
have
mate.
made the
It's
very
so warm.
regrettable choice to wear a hoodie. And I'm so low function right now, like I can barely read. I like I have my notes up here, but like I'm actually struggling. So there's a philosophical debate within the film, about the biology of the human, that, they are born 0.5% below the recommended, blood alcohol concentration. So this man Martin, who's starting to consider himself boring, he's having a bit of a midlife crisis. Him and his friends sort of band together. They decide to experiment with this, to see how their social lives and their professional lives improve with this increase in their alcohol intake, and then inevitably things go downhill. That's the main plot of the film. I imagine if you've got this far, we're going to be talking spoilers. You've seen the film. This, I think, is the first foreign film that me and Matthew have seen in the cinema in maybe 3 years, maybe four.
Been a while.
Uh, you know, and I was very apprehensive. I was sort of dubious of my ability to pay attention that long. Because of course we watched Space Sweepers, but that was at home. We could pause, we could take notes. But here, we sort of need to be transfixed on the screen. And I, just seeing this film, I was able to pay attention, instantly. I eased into it immediately. And just watching this film, it really drew my attention to the fact that we're obviously missing out on some of the best films out there just because they've never been marketed or available to us.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, it goes to show, like, there is definitely a market for that because last night in the QFT, it was probably the biggest crowd I've seen in the QFT for quite some time, and what was like a really nice evening. So you kind of think the people there really wanted to see the film, and the film really delivered. Like you said, I think so many foreign films just aren't marketed in this country, or in the UK in general, that people just aren't aware of them. And yeah, this film's absolutely remarkable, mate. And I do think if this was like an American made production, it probably would be in that category for Best Picture. It's that good. Certainly Mads Mikkelsen, I think, deserves a nomination at least. He's
Yeah, yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely. This is honestly one of the best films I've ever seen. We came out of the cinema, and I think you were like, "Yeah, that was really good," and my dad was like, "Yeah, really good, great time," and I was like, jaw open. This was incredible, and it's by far the best Oscar-nominated film I've ever seen. Maybe the only one I've actually enjoyed. We never usually really get into the Oscar nominations, but we've already seen Judas and the Black Messiah. I think good watch, obviously very, very well made, great depiction of history, but I wouldn't say enjoyable. Promising Young Woman, haunting, terrifying, not enjoyable. Mank, it was all right.
All
It
right.
wasn't enjoyable, but I wouldn't say it was uh, you know, I wouldn't say it's definitely the weakest of the eight of the eight nominees, I think, for Best Picture. And then the fourth one, which is the one of the ones I always forget, Trial of Chicago 7, you know, pretty fine. But here, this was actually incredible. I think it may be my favorite movie I've ever seen in the cinema. I look back at my top 10 favorite films of all time, didn't see any of them in the cinema. So I'd be confident in saying this is the best time I've ever had at the cinema. And I have no idea why it wasn't nominated for Best Picture if Parasite was able to meet the criteria.
Yeah, mate, that's big praise, and I can definitely see why. Um, I think this is probably one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen, just in the way it's shot. Like, there's nothing, incredibly complex about the camera work or the colors, but it's just shot so well that like the characters feel so real. maybe it's the fact that it's a foreign language film, and the sort of environment in which the characters are set feels so different to us that you kind of feel like you're watching someone else's life. Whereas with American films and British films, they kind of feel a bit more fake because you're sort of in that environment already. But I don't know, man. I kind of feel this film has a real special quality where the characters feel tangible, they feel real, and you can definitely see this sort of thing happen in real life. Like all the actors have amazing chemistry. It almost reminded me of kind of like, a Danish Top Gear. You know what I mean? Like they're all sort of middle-aged lads, sort of just getting together, having a good time, and it's yeah, it's a really good watch, mate. I'd really say to recommend to anyone just to really check it out in your local cinema or anything like that, or university. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure in many places it's on digital and DVD already, but here, where it's only just getting to us in the cinemas. This film is only 2 hours long somehow. I think I felt it immensely. You didn't see Blade Runner 2049 in the cinemas, but it's one of the like hardest punching run times of all time. You feel every single second of Blade Runner 2049, and that's exactly how I felt here. It was, potentially the longest 2 hours of my life. And there was a point at which I thought the film was ending, and that was the moment where
Yeah,
where Martin's life is over. Really, his romantic life, is in tatters. His wife has admitted to cheating on him, and Nikolai's wife has taken his kids and moved in with her sister. So all their lives are in tatters, and they decide to end the experiment. And I thought, pretty big anticlimax, but that's the end of the film. I guess I can live with that. Not the best I've ever seen. Bit of a letdown with how amazing the rest of the film is. And then it just keeps going. Like, the only times I've ever had that feeling is with Into the Woods, which is one of the worst films ever made. And, I'm sure we'll talk about it one day because it is, those 2 hours were, the bane of my existence. And at that point, there is a very obvious fake out ending where you go, my God, thank fuck this is over.
yeah,
And then it just keeps going. And here I had that exact same feeling with, all right, it must be over. That's been 2 hours. And then there's just 30 or 40 more minutes.
yeah. In that sense, like that's maybe one of my few criticisms with the film, in the sense that I feel like it could have ended at points and I would have been more satisfied. I know that might be the opposite to you, but I feel like there's certain moments in the film where you expect things to happen and they could happen in that moment. The film just decides not to do it. And I think the film kind of drags towards the end and doesn't really know where to leave off for the characters. Because I know there was your dad and myself were having just a general conversation over the message of the film and what it was. Because it's a kind of similar criticism that I think we both had with the Pixar film Soul, in the sense that the movie's message there was little bit confused. I didn't really know what I wanted to say, and I kind of feel like for me that's where this film was, because it presents these dudes with like such boring lives before alcohol, and then once alcohol is in the picture, like they're confident, they're funny, they're popular, people love them, but then they go too far with it, and then you sort of see the inevitable downfall there. But I don't know, I kind of wanted to ask you, like, what do you think the message is it to say that alcohol is good but only in small doses, or do you think it's just condemning it? Because by the end it just goes off the rails and there's a really hilarious moment at the end. But what's your thoughts?
I think the less so the message, because I don't think I'm uh you know I don't think I'm far enough into my life. I don't think we can effectively analyze a midlife crisis, because we're a fair few years from there. So message, I think I would struggle to interpret, but the intention, I think, is truth. I think Thomas Vinterberg's intention with this film is to show a depiction of real life depression, midlife crisis, addiction to alcohol, and it really comes across for me, because of course, in your late teen years, that's the beginning of your drinking existence, but very quickly, I think you see whether you're gonna use it socially or whether you're gonna abuse it. Whether that's a slippery slope or whatever. I think it is probably apparent to you. And once again, I feel like I'm gonna pass out right now, and I don't really know what I'm saying, but I'm gonna power through it. Despite immense heat exhaustion right now.
It is roasting,
Uh,
to be fair. It is
I
extremely
fear
warm for
taking my
Northern Ireland.
hoodie off, because I presume I'm just, dripping in sweat. But this film, I think it's really true to the human experience that, they attempt this experiment, it goes well for a time, it, dramatically goes downhill, and then they don't learn their lesson by the end, or, they seemingly don't learn a lesson by the end. And, I genuinely think, that's incredibly consistent with how truthful the rest of the film is. Sometimes another crisis doesn't always put things into perspective. It just makes things worse, and, gives you more motivation to retreat back into that, damaging behavior. So, I think the movie's message is, sometimes, you just make your way through life with no sense of direction. And, that's just what happens. It's not good or bad, but that's just living. You're just trying to
Yeah.
do your best day by day.
Yeah, I
And
think that
it's sad. Thomas Vinterberg, reworked this film after the death of his daughter. If you watch his acceptance speech at the Oscars, you'll hear all about that. His intention with rewriting it was, to make it more life affirming. And, I presume that rewrite involved, the death of Tommy. It's kind of unclear whether that was an accident or suicide, but, it's more heavily assumed, I think, that he committed suicide. So I think the life affirming element is to be, the fact that they're sort of reunited in their grief by the end, but then of course they go back into their habits of drinking their troubles away. So, I don't as much get the life affirming side of it, more you know
the
the
human
recognition
experience.
that life is messy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the best sort of praise I can give it is that it is just real. Like it's a real film with deals with real issues. Um and I kind of say, and like I think there could have been a real moment for the film for, the characters just to realize that, this experiment got one of their friends killed in a sense, you know what I mean? Like you always got the impression that something bad was bound to happen throughout the film. Um and it's heartbreaking because I thought the Tommy character, I think I think he was like the football coach, wasn't he? He was
Hmm.
a real sort of bright spot in the film, like a real character of levity, and then when you see him so like down and depressed as well, it's horrible. It's horrible to see because, as I say, I feel bad because I don't know any of these actors' names, but they're all really good. You know what I mean? They all give
Yeah.
incredible performances. Really, like it's marvelous. Like they're all equally as good as Mads Mikkelsen. And it's more of like a group film rather than his story. You know what I mean? You get a lot of other characters at play here.
Yeah, I mean, the character of Peter gets pretty much no play. He encourages his student Sebastian to have a couple shots before, an
Yeah,
oral
yeah.
exam. I was sort of researching the Danish educational system, because I didn't really understand this school. They're apparently called gymnasium schools,
Gymnasium
and I
schools.
guess
Yeah, I was doing a bit of research on
yeah,
it
I guess
myself.
it's kind of like the optional sixth form the English people get.
Hmm.
We pretty much, you either drop out at 16, or you stay on until you're 18, but you're at the same school. It seems it seems kind of similar. Do you think, to kind of optional English sixth form?
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
kind of how I came across. They're calling the teacher by his first name, and drinking isn't heavily discouraged by the teachers.
yeah, and also all the kids seem pretty old. They seem, sort of 18 plus. So
Mm.
I'd probably say it is some kind of sixth form college or something like that. It kind of reminded me of the type of school like BHL Hudson would go to, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like he's from Denmark. So, well, I don't know if he is from Denmark, but he lives in Denmark. Good old friend of the channel, Benedict. Oh, he didn't come on our
Future aspirational friend of the
he
channel,
did
Benedict.
he didn't come on our podcast, folks. We invited him on, but he said no. So go
Will
send him
you
hate.
stop burning bridges?
Oh, he'll come on one day. He'll come on. Only joking, Benedict. We love your videos. We love your videos. If you're watching, he's not watching. Um,
No.
but yeah, it's a cool school. It's a cool setup. I'm so jealous of schools that don't have to wear uniforms. I get the idea of uniforms, because everyone looks the same, and for people who aren't as privileged, you can't afford sort of the cool, trendy clothes. It gives them an option to fit in. But I don't know. There's another aspect of it, like it limits expression as well, doesn't it? But
Mm.
yeah.
Well, like, I think, I thought our uniform was awesome. I thought it looked
Hmm.
looked really nice. But
It was a
I
nice
think, yeah, I
uniform, yeah.
think the rules surrounding hair and expression I take issue with, because I mean, you know, saying that someone has to shave, I don't understand, you know, because you can wear makeup, which is intentionally putting something on your face, but they're telling you something that is naturally growing on your face, you have to remove it. I don't quite understand that.
I know, bloody school rules. I know, I know. I never really had that problem because I just rocked the shaved look anyway at school. But I mean, yeah, I know you got a harsh ride from some of the teachers at our school. It's a ridiculous rule, mate. It is. You know how I feel about it. I don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, at least I don't have to abide by them anymore. I guess that's the main thing.
Yeah, I don't have to abide by any rules. I'm not at any workplace or educational forum.
I don't know. I wonder is there any rules from the university which we may or may not go to um about like sort of online stuff. Like if we said something to the podcast that they deemed inappropriate, could they tell us off or suspend us in the course? I wonder.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we have said
Online
that, can't we?
conduct can come under criticism, but presumably only if you're criticizing the university or one of the students at the university.
Yeah, I mean, the university shit, guys. Don't go to it. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. It's a good uni. It's a good uni. It's good. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say in the film, buddy. To be honest with you, I just have loads of praise for it. You know, it's actually quite funny as well. It's not like there's a depressing tone throughout, although that's more prevalent at the end. It's a comedic film with some lighthearted moments. You know, there's a funny sort of relationship with Tommy and the kid called who he calls Specs, which I think
Hmm.
is quite sweet. But yeah, there's it's a
The moment where Specs scored the goal, my tiny cold dead heart melted.
yeah. I mean, it was a beautiful moment, and he did the Ronaldo celebration. It was lovely. It's a nice moment. But yeah, there's a variety of tones in here, which is nice to see.
I thought this was going to be our most like professional and profound episode, but really we've just evolved into like a sweaty madness.
Man, I'm so I
The
don't know what I'm
the
saying. I'm
really isn't.
delirious.
Yeah, it's really not consistent with I think the quality of film. But just a few wrap up points.
Yeah,
Music is quite limited within this film, but what's there is absolutely incredible.
agreed.
I have no idea why the sort of central song, which is played at the beginning and the end, "What a Life." I have no idea why that wasn't nominated for best song. The one that won best song was like it was a song from Judas and the Black Messiah. I don't even remember it. I remember "Speak Now" from One Night in Miami, which was also nominated. But this film, I think, is leaps and bounds ahead of both of those. I mean, especially the one I don't remember whatsoever.
Yeah, no, the music can make or break a film for me. And the music here, there's not a lot of it, but from what's used, it's fantastic. Um,
It's really just one piano song and then one like Danish pop song.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And you've got those kind of like sort of Scandinavian chords, at the start. They kind of sort of borrows from a lot of the typical sort of I mean, sort of Danish music, I'd imagine. I mean, it's the kind of music you'd sort of see in Avengers Endgame with New Asgard and stuff and Thor, it's those kind of things. But yeah, like the Scandinavian culture is fascinating me. It's a sort of region I'd love to travel to, especially Denmark, because like it's actually not that far away from here, to be honest with you. It's just like,
Really?
across, yeah, it's like not too, but I don't think it's too far at all. Um, but yeah, it seems like a really lovely place. Like, to be honest with you, seems like a really nice place.
Hmm. Yeah, we don't watch a lot of foreign films, as we've made abundantly clear. Presumably, partly due to us not expanding our horizons, but partly because we don't get new stuff here. We should delve into some of the old stuff. I was looking at the Guardian has a as in the Guardian newspaper in the UK has compiled a list of like the 40 best best foreign films selected by its readers, and some of them are ones that I know are considered huge hits. So I
Yeah,
think if we tackled that, that might give us a bit of a broader perspective. But I think for that reason, I think performances are quite hard to judge from a foreign language film, because you can't really tell based on your language and the level of translation that maybe misses some nuance. You have no idea whether a certain line is being hit right, based on the
yeah, yeah,
the the comedy and the the scope of performance in that, in that different culture, because I mean they're very different, obviously. In different countries, you're obviously going to be more expressive or louder. That there's going to be sort of a set standard of what a performance should be. So I think it's quite hard to judge, but I think two things are obvious. Funny is universal. I think, comedy, especially physical comedy, not slapstick, but the moment where like Mads Mikkelsen like runs into the door, or all the guys are like falling over at the grocery store. I think funny is universal, and I think the second thing that's easy to be recognized is Mads Mikkelsen gave an exceptional performance.
I couldn't agree more, mate, to be honest with you. I think as I say, the character of Tommy has a lot of funny moments. He throws his keys in the air and then drops them or whatever. There's a lot of, as I say, physical humor is obvious. And yeah, I think this film is a perfect sort of blend of tones as well. And Mads Mikkelsen is incredible. He's definitely skyrocketed up my favorite sort of actors list for sure. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, because
you go ahead, mate.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a huge amount of stuff, but everything he's in, he levels it up.
Yeah, agreed, mate. And one thing I will say as well, I suppose this could be a little teaser for my selection of sort of desert island films for 100th podcast. But if we're gonna have like a foreign language film in there, this one's definitely would be my pick. To be honest, out of the two that I've seen, this one's definitely. That sounds like such a backhanded compliment, but generally it would be difficult to see another foreign language film beat this one, if that makes sense. This one's that good. We just happened to start off with a really good one, I think. Two good ones actually, because Space Sweepers I quite enjoyed as well, to be honest.
Yeah, because I think the older we go, like there's a certain level of what we're going to be able to actually understand. Because I think, our culture, in the place that we live, it's very, we sort of pick influences, from American sitcoms to British TV. So I think we have American films mostly. So I think we have this weird blend up of cultural understandings of and expectations from films. So I think we're gonna be I think we're gonna have a massive culture shock, I think, with some of the films we watch.
I agree, mate, for sure. I suppose on that note, mate, if you don't have anything else to say, do you want to hop into a rating?
I've just a thing or two left to say. I think we can both agree going into this film, I didn't know what to expect fully. I do think the trailer pretty much plays out what will happen in this film. Obviously there's an incredible amount of nuance, and then the ending is a surprise. And by the way, some people saying if there were to be a best ending Oscar, that should have gone to this, and I fully agree. I often take issue with the endings of films. I think you can have an incredible 2/3, and sometimes an ending can just make the whole thing fall flat. You need to start strong and finish strong, and you can have a bit of a okay middle, provide you start and end strong. And here, that's exactly what they do. Not the bad middle. I think the whole film's incredible, but one of the best film endings of all time, I think. I think we both knew going in, whether we would like it or not, that not everybody was gonna make it out alive. I think if you think, well, what's the big consequence going to be here? If all of their lives go off the rails and not all of them have relationships to ruin, I think the automatic idea would be that not everybody's going to make it out alive. I just hope someone saved the dog, because my man left the dog on the boat to just float adrift in the ocean.
The thing is as well, they explicitly state that the dog can't walk as well, so it's not as if the dog could like swim off the boat. So it is the dog. Poor dog's probably just on the boat, just chilling, mate. And yeah, you do get the impression. Well, I got the impression anyway that like Mads Mikkelsen's character maybe wouldn't have lasted in the film. But gladly he does. And I sort of said it as well. And straight after the film, it's a bit of a weird comment to make, but people what listen to this will know. When a character in the film receives a text, and then a sort of a fake message comes up on the screen virtually and stuff. And I just like the way the film sort of goes to a black screen and writes it in Danish. It's a really smart move. It feels like it feels like you're reading a novel that's been sort of brought to the big screen in a sense. It's really, really smart, mate. And it saves the old cliche of the message popping up on the screen, which is used in pretty much every movie that has a scene where that happens. So I thought it was really smart. And I'm not, as I say, I wasn't too sure if it was in the Danish version or just in this version because it was subtitles. But it makes sense either way. But yeah, I thought it was a really
Yeah.
really smart addition.
Yeah, just as I was watching it, I think one very accurate way to describe this is, classy. I think when it comes
Agreed. Yeah.
to, musical choices, visual choices, direction, the film looks incredible, but that's probably for the sake of, incredible HD cameras. But the film is incredible. The whole thing is classy. I think it's one of the closest things to art that I've seen. A lot of Martin Scorsese stuff, I think, you could say is art, despite, I have a lot of favorite directors. I'd say Rob Reiner's right up there, the Coen brothers. And there's a lot of comedy and quality storytelling there. But I think this is art. Uh, and I'm not sure if you're aware of the American remake that's happening.
No, mate, I haven't.
Well, right after this film won best foreign language picture, the rights to an American remake were sold to a production company that is positioning Leonardo DiCaprio to star, and I just think
Big
it's
mistake.
insulting.
Big
You
mistake.
know,
Yeah.
I think if it was a film that wasted an amazing premise, and you could flesh out the wasted potential, or if it's been decades, since the original film came out, and you think a modernization is due, fair enough. By taking an amazing modern film and remaking it, you're pretty much just saying that the only improvement and value that you can add to it is the addition of the English language, which I think is the exact reason that films like this slip through the cracks.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite insulting, to be honest with you, especially it's kind of suggesting that like the only way it could be better if it was American, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Like,
And like,
Matthew, if this film had never been nominated for an Oscar, we never would have seen this film.
yeah, and it's crazy because it was that good. You kind of think to yourself, how much, holy shit, like how much good films am I missing here? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like,
So
some of
yeah,
the dog shit that we pay to see in the cinemas compared to this, like, I'd say this year is the most consistent year for films that I've seen in cinema. I make a list, as I go. This year I've seen Conjuring 3, Fargo, Fast and Furious 9, Black Widow, Another Round. Like, if you're comparing, like, you know this film to Black Widow, obviously there's a huge disparity there. And I just think all the stuff that is mainstream here that we just pay to see at the cinema, it's just insane. What is clearly just within close reach.
well, I think people settle for mediocrity. Like people see the big explosions and shit, like yeah, that'll do, but then people miss the heart of these sort of lower budget foreign film, not just foreign films, but like just lower budget films like this. You know what I mean? That were it just doesn't
Yeah,
have the funding to market itself. You know what I mean? Even if it was an American film, it still wouldn't have done well at the box office because these films just don't. It's sad. It's the way cinema's going, unfortunately. Like you know, and believe me, like I was all for the big action films. I still am. I still think they have their role, but like going to the cinema should be more than just about seeing the spectacle on the big screen these days. It should be seeing art, like you said. That's the highest compliment you can really pay a film. Like if I look back at all my favorite films, they're all sort of either nostalgic films, or if they're not that, they're sort of works of art, or really well made creative films. Which I think this film certainly is that. It's a work of art, and it excites me to see more films in that kind of foreign genre in the future. Maybe a podcast on it one
yeah.
day.
Because I mean, there is absolutely a place for fun. I would just like a broader scope. The only film that I've seen, come out of America in recent years that comes anything close to this is Peanut Butter Falcon. Which came out in 2019.
Mhm.
It may have even been 2018 in America. I'm not quite sure, but here we got it in 2019, and that film's absolutely incredible. It's really a gem amongst mediocrity, or
Yeah.
again, there is absolutely a place for dumb fun. I think if half the films I saw were dumb fun and half were, you know, something a bit more cerebral, I'd be really happy. There just isn't a lot of that here.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. And the thing that comes closest to this is probably Joker, but even compare Joker to films that we've reviewed recently, you kind of think, you know, people like I respect people who call it like an art or a work of art. I get it, but like when compared to this film, it's light and day, mate. You know what I mean? Like it's just it feels that this film feels unique. It feels sort of like there's been more heart and passion in it than in these films are, maybe Joker's a bad example because I actually really do like that film, but you see a lot of these films that market themselves as, a really creative, artsy project that, is for lovers of cinema and anything. It's just not though. You're just branding that just to get in, you know, just to get bums and seats. And I get that's the idea, but like a film like this where, it is just raw, pure talent behind it, like you kind of think to yourself, like we're saying, how much good films are we missing just because they haven't been marketed well, or just because they don't have the funding to market themselves, or just because they're a foreign film. Like, and it was good to see a good crowd at the QFT yesterday because, it shows to me that there is an audience for that because there was quite a number of people there on a nice night.
Yeah, and
So
that was with social distancing, and it was
and
still
a lovely
an
summer's
incredible
day.
turnout.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
and on a
I
Sunday. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it definitely would get me. It would definitely intrigue me to go and see another few foreign films in cinema because yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a Danish film in my life, and then one week from now, the QFT is getting another Danish film starring Mads Mikkelsen. I don't understand that
Yeah.
level of turnaround.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see that, and I hope you're interested.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. Have you got any more points to say in the movie, mate?
Nothing else for me. I feel like there's something missing from the discussion. Like, I guess, delving into alcohol would have maybe been a way to go, but I think neither of us are particularly seasoned drinkers. And if we were, you probably don't want to expose yourself like that on the internet. Maybe in a few years we can look back on this with
Yeah.
a level of maturity on that.
Yeah. I think that as well as that, like, although we have mentioned the heat, like, we're not just saying that, like, the heat just has sapped my sort of ability to talk properly. Of just,
Well, I think we'll have to like pencil in the second review we're gonna do for another day because I'm sweating. I'm
yeah,
sweating
absolutely
to a
sweating here.
ridiculous degree.
Holy smokes. Yeah, I mean, I suppose like if I were gonna give it a rating, it's probably like, an 8.5 or a 9. It's a really good film. I think Mads Mikkelsen is one of those actors where I haven't seen a lot of his stuff, but anything I have seen him in he's fantastic. And as I say, this film is a work of art, and that's the highest compliment really I could pay a film. So yeah, it was a really good watch. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I don't want it, the perception to be that we're being like pretentious about this because I don't think we pretend to have like a pretentious bone in our bodies. We just like what we like, and this happened to really come across that way. I think, I would give the film a 10 out of 10 honestly because I think it is really
Fair enough.
potentially encroaching in the top 10 films of all time. And there's only I think two films from the 2010s in there, and those are the most recent films I have in there. So this may well be the first 2020, and
First of the decade,
2021
mate. Aye.
cracking into the top 10. Like it was just really incredible, and it sort of affected my way of looking at the cinema, not cinema as like an art form, but the cinema, because I've never seen a film like that in theaters, and I think it is just opening the door to international films that'll turn that around.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, mate. About to be honest with you, like when you said about going to see it, I didn't expect anything major from the film. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's me being a bit judgmental there, so I'll hold my hands up because I I don't know. Part of me thought going into it with the QFT, I kind of thought, oh no, it'll be a good film. It just won't be for me. But I totally got it
Mm.
wrong. And I'm more than willing to say that because I would advise anyone, if you've got like a local sort of film theater or cinema that shows this, go and see it. It's worth it's worth the time.
Mm.
But
And
yeah,
I have
I
not
mean,
smiled as much as I did during the final dance scene because
yeah,
that I thought that was just incredible. The one scene in Joker that really got me to feel something was the bathroom dance. The rest of the film from my rewatches, it's just not for me. I'm never going to call a movie good or bad. I'm going to say it wasn't to my preference because I think that's the only fair way to criticize something constructively and fully supported by opinion rather than stating
yeah,
something objectively. We call things massive hit or piece of shit, but that's obviously a joke. You're committing to one extreme, for the sake of a joke. We're not actually saying something's a piece of shit because we didn't like it. We're saying for us, it did not appeal to us. Once again, I've lost my train of thought. I imagine I was saying something to the effect of, I love this, and it's really opened my eyes to what we can see.
Yeah, I suppose on that note, that wraps up another mini review in the channel. Not so mini review today, but it was a really good discussion about it. So yeah, as I say, our 100th we're doing our 100th podcast episode this week. So I'm really excited for that. We're yet to we're going to iron out the details, I think, after this, but really
Yeah.
stay tuned for that, because it's going to be probably one of our biggest episodes, well, our biggest ever episode probably. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Thank you very much, everyone who's watched. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on the film down below. We'd love to read them. And yeah, thanks very much, Callum, for your time and for introducing me to another great film. So yeah, hope you guys are all well. Your family and friends, I'll safe and well too. Take care, and bye bye.
Bye.